that imagine a better tomorrow.
The country has every ingredient that it requires to become a regional powerhouse.
When you look at the National Household Survey report of 2024, it's estimated that Uganda has about 15 million middle-income earners. There's more disposable income, so they tend to spend more.
The Uganda population is the second youngest in Africa. It's estimated that over 60% of the population is less than 35 years old.
We are very lucky to have very tech-savvy, English-speaking young population.
They have the energy, they have the creativity. Many of them are digital natives, which means that they can be able to leverage the power of the digital economy that we're seeing today to accelerate Uganda.
The level of innovation, the level of entrepreneurship that we can find that can come out with young people is immense. So it is actually a future for this country.
When I look at Uganda, I look at the talent of its young people. I look at the entrepreneurial energy that is in this country. I look at the resources that are in this country.
The amount of energy that's within the country is incredible. What we need to do is how do we channel this energy into more productive activities?
It truly means then that we can actually be able to catapult this country to becoming a significant contributor to what is happening in Africa.
We are over 40 million people. Each one of us has a reason to believe in Uganda. I want you to believe in Uganda just like we do. Believe in our people, our dreams, our opportunities, and our future. This is our home. This is Uganda.
This kind of good work, NSSF deserves a hand clap from all of us. Distinguished guests, honored members, after watching such a presentation, one may wish to ask themselves, how would you live in such a beautiful country and yet you have no savings, you have no social security? That looks like paradise could be one hellish existence for you if you are not a member of NSSF. And that's exactly why we played this video. For all of you in the room, have your best smile on, tuck in your shirts, organize your ties, for we are live on all major TV stations in this country. Why? Because NSSF and why we're here today is, for the most part, the most important announcement that has to be made in the land today. But first, allow me, in a special way, recognize one or two amongst us that's with us. There's no way I can start my presentation this morning without recognizing Dr. David Ogong, the chairperson of the NSSF board. May I request that you stand up? And now, I can formally invite folks that have taken a painstakingly long time to look critically into the health of NSSF. Is it what we think it is? Are they as healthy financially? But most importantly, are they only just receiving money from us and doing nothing else back to the society in which they operate? How is their footprint as a reasonable and caring corporate citizen? And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the Office of the Auditor General, which is coming forward to present to us their report on the health of NSSF. Most welcome, Mr. James Bantu, Assistant Auditor General. Mr. Bantu, most welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kasiate, you will excuse me, I didn't capture that title. So at the risk of being told to step aside, allow me to still call you the Director of Ceremonies for today. Okay? So as introduced, ladies and gentlemen, my names are James Bantu, and I'm the Assistant Auditor General in charge of audits at the Office of the Auditor General. I'm here to represent the Auditor General, who is currently out of the country on official duty. He was supposed to do this, to present this by himself. I stand here on all the protocols, and I'm just going to read verbatim the opinion of the Auditor General as signed by himself. That's a function that can never be delegated. So I just want to assure you that what I'm about to present is not the opinion of James Bantu, but the opinion of the Auditor General of the Republic of Uganda, who has ably signed off the annual financial statements, the audit report on the annual financial statements of the National Social Security Fund for the year ended 30th June 2025. By way of introduction, the Auditor General, in terms of Section 23 of the National Audit Act, CAP 170, is allowed to appoint private audit firms to assist him in the conduct of audits. So for this year round, the Auditor General appointed KPMG Certified Public Accountants, who are here with us. In the spirit of recognizing them, I'd like to request the Managing Partner, Assad Lukwago, to stand for recognition. So the Auditor General appointed KPMG to audit the accounts of the fund for the year ended 30th June 2025. And I'm here to read the opinion that summarizes all the detailed audit work that was undertaken during the course of that exercise. Allow me to read verbatim the opinion that has been expressed by the Auditor General. I have audited the financial statements of National Social Security Fund, NSSF, of course, which will be set out in the booklets that will be availed on pages 12 to 98, which comprise the statement of net assets available for benefits as at 30th June 2025, the statement of changes in net assets available for benefits, statement of changes in fund reserves, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including material accounting policies. In my opinion, the accompanying financial statements present a true and fair view of the financial position of the fund as at 30th June 2025, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and in the manner required by the NSSF Act, CAP 230 of the laws of Uganda. In brief, the Auditor General has given a clean audit opinion on the financial statements of the NSS of the fund. You'll also allow me to mention here, as is always the case, as I earlier introduced in my remarks, the Auditor General is allowed to appoint private audit firms to assist him in the conduct of audits. And in the same manner, allow me to also mention that in the subsequent year, for the subsequent year that will end in June 2026, the Auditor General intends to again appoint KPMG Certified Public Accountants to audit the accounts of the fund. I beg to submit.
wouldn't want to turn the risk of the Auditor General auditing our mood this morning and realizing we don't have proper health and good manners. Let's clap for him. More so, for saying without any fear of contradiction that indeed NSSF is as healthy as they come. That said, folks, when you have a healthy institution, financially at least, like NSSF is, what more would you really be asking for before you can turn around and indeed choose to be a member if you're not already one? But also importantly, subscribe if you're a business to have your employees as part of this growing, rich, and stable membership that NSSF does have. And that's the reason we are here today, to show benefit for those who already are as part of the NSSF bigger family. As we await for the arrival of the Honorable Ministers of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, as well as our line minister, that of gender and related issues, which include social security, I wish, in a special way, having introduced the board chairperson of NSSF, to also recognize all the members of the NSSF board. May I request that you stand up? Thank you very much. We appreciate. Then, of course, we have got our distinguished members from the trade unions, from the respective trade unions. We have representatives from NOTU. You may wish to wave at us. Thank you very much for coming. Representatives from COFTU. Wow. Employer representatives, some representing the Federation of Uganda Employers. Where are you? The Federation of Uganda Employers always keeps time. That should also give you an indication of how they treat the employees. Well, it's about showtime. It's now my singular honor and pleasure to look you in the eye, Mr. Patrick Ayota, and invite you to come and join me here on the stage. And when you do, I'll tell you what to do. Thank you. Patrick, speak to these people. There's thousands online watching us. There's perhaps tens of thousands on all major TV stations in the land. And then, of course, there is a crowd outside the room watching you on huge screens. Enjoy.
Good morning. Good morning. Now, you guys want me to repeat a story you normally say. You know, I grew up in a small village called Nyem Nyem. If you doubt that it exists, if you ever go from Tororo to Mbale, it's exactly halfway. A little trading center called Molo, make a left. 4 kilometers you'll run into Nyem Nyem. I used to be a primary school teacher, and there's something that stage of life makes life so enjoyable. So if I walked in the class and I said, "Good morning, pupils," how they respond? Good morning, sir. However broke I was, I just felt good. So please help make me feel good. Good morning, pupils. Good morning, sir. Now that, if you doubt it, please, next time you volunteer for anything, go teach your primary school. You'll be amazed at how they re-energize you in the process. So I'm just going to take you a bit about the performance of the fund. Like we do at the fund, we will talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the reason is the fund is made up of you and me. And I'm not perfect, and we're not perfect. Therefore, we talk about all of it in terms of transparency. But before I start, let me just ask the people who really manage this fund, the EXCO members. If you're an EXCO, please just stand up for representing EXCO and remain standing. Well, thank you. I'll start on my left, Barbara Arimi. She's our Chief Marketing Officer. Got Mr. Isaac Ogwang, he's our he's our Chief Legal Officer representing Agnes. So anything we do, we make sure that we cross all the legal T's. We fight a lot, by the way, because we think we should do other things. They tell us you can't. Mr. Wori is our chief people and culture. If I cross on this side, now the guy who really keeps us on to right standing in front of us, Mr. Jerry Kasato, he's the deputy managing director, doing unbelievable work and amazing work in terms of keeping the fund. Right behind him is Mr. Stevens Mwanje. He keeps all our money, won't spend it, he won't let it go. And next to him is Mr. Edward Senyonjo. Mr. Edward Senyonjo falls in the category of Isaac Ogwang. We want to do certain things, they say you can't, it's too much risk in terms of what you're doing, and we have our little battles in that case. And right next to him is his brother called Geoffrey Barije. He's our chief internal audit. So between Geoffrey, Edward, and Isaac, they really constrain us, but it's all for good, and we love it because at the end of the day, the reason why we can get a clean audit is because we operated within the guardrails that we need to set up. Next to Geoffrey is Mr. Dan Mugura, the new addition to our Chief Procurement Officer. Next to him is Mr. Ken Owera. The good things on the market that we're talking about, a lot of the decisions that he makes in terms of how to invest. Personal money is the biggest part of the fund. If you have a problem, please make sure you recognize him. He's Geoffrey Sajabi. All your contributions, all your benefits be paid. If you have a problem, don't come to me yet, go to him, because most likely I'll go to him. So you can just go to him directly and beat him up if you need to, so it will work. And then behind him is our Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Benoni, who's done an amazing job. And our Chief of Strategy is back there, Alex Romanyika. So together as a team, that's then how we divide how we do our function. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. We appreciate it. So I'll just go through a bit of our content and talk a little bit about where we've been. In 2015, and we go back there, it's important we kind of go through there. We signed on what we call our 10-year strategy, which ended June 2025. And it was very interesting that at that time, it was unique because the fund was just trying to recover from what it had been in the past. There were a lot of questions about the fund. There was a lot of regulatory uncertainty. We didn't know whether liberalization was going to take place. And we set out that in 10 years' time, we want to be this. If you look at what was happening in the fund at that time, there was a lot of agitation. Many would remember around that time, places like Algeria, they were a lot of agitation with young people. Technology was becoming bigger and bigger. As I talked, the regulatory environment was changing. Now, more importantly, you, the customers, were demanding more and more from the fund. Inside, we basically had a problem with antiquated systems. We had a problem with our real estates. Trying to develop them, we couldn't go. We blamed everybody, including PPDA, but you know, we have to blame somebody. And then we needed to really, and I think the biggest asset the fund had was our people, our staff, young, energetic, but we need to harness them to bring their full potential to what we needed. We knew that our core was provide retirement, but also at that time, we were only basically covering about 1 million members. So we wanted to prepare to cover all Ugandans, but establish a very innovative agenda if we're going to do that. So we said, okay, by 2025, this is how we'll know we are successful. These four metrics formed the strategy for the last 10 years. When a 95% satisfaction rate, 1 day in processing benefits, 95 customer satisfaction rate, and 20 trillion shillings in assets. If I summarize in a sentence, basically we said, if we make our staff fully engaged and we give them the right tools, we'll measure it that they become so efficient they can pay some benefits in 1 day. Then they will wow our customers to the extent that when we measure it by 95%, those customers, when they are wowed, will trust us enough to give us their money. 20 trillion shillings by June 2025. So we laid out that the only way we're going to get there is we needed to have a very clear vision to be the social security provider of choice. Now, a very interesting pick of words. We're a mandatory scheme, but here we're talking about the word choice. We wanted, even if there was no other scheme you could put your money in, if you go to bed at night, you would say, thank God I saved with NSSF. We're our own competition. And that's where the word social security provider of choice came through. We came up with a very interesting purpose, a small one, that our purpose is to make lives better by making savings a way of life. That's our purpose, even today. We really love for people to save because we know what it does. We had our core values, as every entity has: member-focused. Integrity is key to the things we do. Creativity, and we define it for us. And collaborations, I think, things we want to do. How are we going to get there? We looked back and said, what do our members want? So it wasn't built in a vacuum. So we said, what concerns our members the most? So we came to what we call customer or member value propositions. Things we're going to promise you. Number one, safety. That when you become eligible to come for your money, it's there. Safety. Physical safety of your savings, but also preservation of value. That you don't lose money because you saved with us. And that becomes so fundamental that each budgeting cycle will begin with one thing. Say, we've promised our members they will not lose value. For many of you who want to guess what the interest rate is going to declare today, look at the 10-year average inflation over the last 10 years, add it 2 percentage points, and you'll be close to guessing to what the interest rate could be. Because we wanted to make sure that we pay you above inflation in everything we do. Number two, convenience, that you can do business with us anytime, anywhere, at your convenience. It informed how we train our people. It informed the technology we buy. That the technology we buy has to deliver what we call ubiquity. Ubiquity means that if you are lying on your bed and you have a cavity, you can access us. You can initiate a claim. You can register with the fund. You can make a contribution to the fund in your bedroom. If you're in Karamoja and you have a tab, you can do the same thing anywhere, anytime. Number two, that had been straight-through process. The reason you start that is you don't want, when somebody starts, you don't want them to stop or someone to intervene in that case. And the self-service, you can make it so simple that people can actually utilize the system without going anywhere else. That would give us convenience. The last one is empowerment. This one we couldn't deliver until November 2024, when the Minister of Gender signed into law the regulations around voluntary. One of the saddest stories that I hear with members is this, is somebody has 100 million shillings with a fund, his wife is sick, and they need a kidney transplant to go to India. The law never made a provision for a sick wife or a sick child. And remember we told you I have got Mr. Legal Custody there. You can't cross the line. If we do that, then we become unlawful, which that breaks it. So a lot of times, the whole idea behind voluntary is you set aside something for you that when those moments come and you need to access that money, you will take care of your short and mid-term. And that's why we are so passionate about what we need to do in that case. And we'll give examples about what some people have done, because sometimes we realize, we think that's hard to save. In our midst, I will talk about a couple of people. You won't believe what they've done with just a voluntary program. So many of you know this, how we do our business. We start with a member, collect on your behalf the 5% you give, and the 10% the employer has been forced to give you. I stop there to say this. Many of us don't realize how that is an amazing investment. That the day you put your 5,000 shillings, the employer is forced to put in 10,000 shillings, and it's all yours. Well, you can't touch it right away, but it's all yours. In financial terms, That very day you earn 200% on day one. In fact, it was designed that way so that NSSF doesn't make reckless decisions, because safety of your money is more. And very few investments have that and do provide that. We then invest your money. Last year, about 6.3% of that investment was real estate, 13 in stocks, 8 in fixed income. The most interesting thing is when you look, real estate has been the most visible part of the asset, of the fund. Look at pension towers, look at Loboa, look at the workers' house, look at all this. And you may think that all NSSF is real estate. No, all that is 6.3% of the fund. But we get the most pain from this 6.3% as an investment entity. But we have guys who are helping us and make sure it works. We earn revenue, and from those revenues, we pay overhead. Last year, as we'll show, we paid 0.89% of assets as expenses. In the world of pension, there's a very good measure for efficiency. It's called cost of administration. You take all your expenses for the year, divide it by your asset base, and that gives you how efficient you are. Last year, we were around 1.08%. This year, we are at 0.89%. If I give you in context, globally, there are 312 schemes that are as big as, it's right around $7 billion. The global standard for cost of administration today is 2.2%. If you're doing 2.2% and the size 7 billion, you are very efficient. Let me talk to you about my neighbors, our peers across, because we exchange these notes. NSSF Kenya, right around 2.7%. NSSF Tanzania is around 3.2%. NSSF Uganda is 0.89%. And that tells you the efficiencies with which we actually run this. When we've covered that, the thing that is very interesting also to note is, people think that when we collect from you, we spend it. No, we invest it. It's out of the revenues that we then cover our overhead. And when that has happened, the balance of it is put on your statement as interest. When you become eligible, then you come and take your money if you wish. Up until maybe 2 years ago, you didn't have a choice. Today you do have a choice. You don't have to take it all. You can take bit by bit. You can leave it for the next 10 years. It will be there, earning interest and making it an amazing investments for you. If you just run those numbers and look at your 5%, the 10% from, and whatever NS has put in, by the time you hit 55, assume you've been working for 30 years, you extrapolate, try it and see. What you only put in that fund is about 20% of that total pot. And that total pot, even if you had 1 million shillings, would be closer to 500 million shillings in savings. So after the end of 55, what you have saved personally is about 20%. What your employer put in is 40%. The balance is what NSSF has put in that account. So it is really an amazing, safe way of investing for your own future. If you look at back in if you look at 24, this was basically a few numbers. I think the key thing to note is last year our membership grew by slightly over 250, both from voluntary side and from mandatory side. Employers also, we had about 113. They grew right around, they grew by about 15,000. Now, not all of them are complying yet. And we'll talk about the pain point that we have in this case. I think the most one we can go through is this. There was a study that we did. It was done by a different arm of KPMG. We basically contracted them to try to go and find what value have we generated as a fund to this economy or economies. This is the number they came with over the last 10 years. That over the last 10 years, NSSF has contributed 59.5 trillion shillings to the economy and to the GDP. Sustained and supported or created 1.9 million jobs. And if you look at the average payout per person over the last 10 years was about right around 20 million shillings. But then that number today, when you look at the average payout, is around 25 million shillings. That's what somebody's taking home after they've saved for all this, they work for 10 years. 1, our wages are low in the country. 2, our jobs are not stable. Today you are working, the next day you're working. So you find that what somebody's taking out, think about somebody has worked for the last 30 years, now they're leaving and they're going 25 million shillings. And then they're going to live longer. Many of you may not know, about 20 years ago, the lifespan of Uganda was around 43 years. So people were saying, if I'm living up to 43 years, NSSF, you're kidding me. So you want me to come for my benefits at 55, but I'm dead at 43. And well, there was a point. In fact, there was a clamor to reduce the retirement age because of that. Thank God when you look at the demographics in Uganda, the lifespan of an average Ugandan female is, I think, 64, males around 62. Now, there's what's called the longevity. The longevity is how long you live after that 63 or 62. In Uganda, it's 15 years. So what you're going to do, add 62 plus 15, that's around 77, add 64 plus 15, around 79. Let me challenge you, go to your village today and you'll see how many 70-year-olds are living in your village and compare that to 10 years ago. There are more 70-year-olds working in your villages today than they did. The point is, you're not going to say, life will not stop because you're retired. No, you're going to live longer. If you retire at 55, you have an additional 20 to 30 years. What do you need to do in that case? How do you plan for it? And that's kind of the conversation we now need to have. If you're very lucky, you have 100 million shillings and so on, you've been making 1 million shillings a year. The tender say, okay, give me my money, let me go. I hit 100 million shillings. Data shows that as soon as you get that 100 million shillings, then the need for that money shows up. Somebody is sick, you have to fork it out. Somebody died, someone's getting married, whatever it is, suddenly 2 years later, the 100 million shilling is gone. And now you don't have a job. So a bit of a word to the wise. Leave the 100 million shillings, continue to get 1 million shillings like you've been making, and that will carry you all the way through 75. You will live with some of your grandchildren as you do that. So that's kind of the conversation that we think we have to have as we go through these things. If you look at the investment, and I think we talked about this, economic growth in Uganda was really good, grew at 6.3%. Inflation was under control, and we talked about that. Stock market increased across East Africa. Interest rates continued to do the yo-yo. The exchange rate was interesting. It's a double-edged sword. Our Uganda shilling strengthened against the regional currencies. Good news, we have this myth that we want a strong currency. Yeah, psychologically it's very good, but sometimes it may not help us very much, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So just say we were growing up 6.3%, and the economy is going to grow even much further. There are fundamentals that are strong in the economy that we know will do that. If you look at inflation control, those are basically, we really want to thank, Bank of Uganda has done an amazing job. Sometimes we don't understand it, or sometimes we just say, if you look at the CBR rate, Bank of Uganda is using CBR rate to manage part of the inflation. You look at the top, and you can see that in June 2023, the CBR rate was 10%. The inflation was 4.8%. So what they did is they increased the CBR rate to 10.3%. Inflation dropped to 3.8%. It came down to 9.8. Inflation slightly went up 4.25, but it's well managed in terms of how they are managing this economy. And that's the economy is really, when you had this video, people from Ian Clark talking about, this country is only one way you can bring, and let me give you an example. If you could borrow $10,000 from the US, or you borrowed $10,000 5 years ago, came and exchanged it in Uganda shillings, and invested those Uganda shillings, about that rate was around 36 million shillings. You bought a Uganda bond, and at the end of 5 years, you got back your money and exchanged back in dollars. The number shows you would have had $18,000. Not just from the return itself, but the currency held that you didn't lose any money through depreciation, which you can't say that about a lot of African currencies for that matter. So we applaud especially Bank of Uganda having done this. I think this is important. Just know that we get a lot of our income from our interest rates. This was happening with the economy. In the economy, the Uganda rates went up, Kenya went down, Tanzania a bit of a mix, but mostly down. But this is a reflection of the dynamics in that economy. When you look at the stock exchange, as we pointed out, all of them recovered. Whether it was Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda, they all recovered, which means you will see how that translates into our thing. Here's the Uganda shilling. Against the Kenya shilling, it basically appreciated to 27.8 from 28.7. Against the USD, appreciated to 35.94 from 37.09. Against the Tanzanian shilling, appreciated to 137 from 1.41, and then Rwanda appreciated to 0.50 against 2.83. Now, let me give you what an appreciation means in terms of the economics of it and how it impacts you. Last year I gave an example. Let's say that there is a cow I want to buy in Kenya. And last year the exchange rate between the Uganda shilling and the Kenya shilling was 28.7. That cow cost 10,000 Kenya shillings. So what I would do is I would get the equivalent of Uganda shillings, 28,700, exchange it and get $10,000, go to Kenya and buy that cow. But because I keep my books in Uganda shillings, I record that cow at 28,700 shillings. We are all good. This year, the shilling is 27.8. The shilling appreciated. I don't need 28,000 shillings to buy 10,000 shillings. Or Kenyan shillings, I need 27,000. I need 27 shillings. So the Uganda currency has strengthened. But Mr. Lukwaga sat there and the Hotel General tells me the accounting standards require that I reflect the proper valuation on my books. So now the cow I had recorded in my books at 28,000, I have to write it down to 27,000 because of currency. So someone said, hey, you lost 1,000 shillings. True, a paper loss, but I still have the cow. I never sold the cow. I still have that cow in Kenya. Is that the revaluation mandates that I should revalue it at the exchange rate that I have. So a very interesting thing you see with Uganda. So on one side, when the Uganda currency appreciates, we are so happy because that means that now if I want to travel, my Uganda shilling can buy more dollars than it used to buy before for me to go. But the other side of it is if we need to export, then our exports are going to be a little more expensive than they used to before. So you can see the balancing Bank of Uganda has to work with in terms of trying just to make sure that the economy remains there as it is. So someone say, is it good to have a strong currency? Shouldn't we? I'm saying it depends on which end of the stick you are sitting on. There's a time when it's not good. There's a time when it's very valuable for that purpose. And what does this all tell us? I mean, the economy, as we said, actually has been very resilient. So how did we perform? And I'm going to take a little bit for the 10 years. In 2015, when we set up our strategic objective, what we call Vision 2025, which ended June 2025, there are things we did not know. We did not know there was going to be COVID, which would shut down the country for 2 years. We did not know there was going to be midterm, where suddenly the fund has to let and pay out over 500 billion shillings to members who came for midterm. We did not know, this one you laugh with, there was going to be parliamentary inquiry, where the rectors, or whatever it was. So we naively set our targets for June 2025. So how do we perform against that? And against that, what I just laid out. Remember we said we wanted our members to have a success rate of 95% by then. If you look at just the movement, there was a dip. We had actually hit 94 just before 2021. Then when the parliamentary drop came, we really discouraged a lot of staff members. We dropped to 82%. But by the end of last year, we had recovered at 91%, which is incredible. Not many companies go beyond 75%. Now, if you look at the thing that we look at one day, payment time, we'll measure how efficient we are with how quickly we pay your benefits. Now, these are the numbers. We paid 1.32 trillion in last year, 1.3 trillion shillings in benefits versus 239 billion in 2015. We paid 48,000 members from 15,000 in 2015. Our turnaround time was interesting. Our age benefit and mid-term benefit, most of it now we are paying it within 2 days. But some people get shocked, you come and put in your application in the morning. In fact, the best thing to do, I'll go on to that. If you come to the office to apply, it will take you more time. Apply from your phone. It's much easier for you to do it in your phone. It will come through and we're able to process that. It's a midterm. Because midterm, there's no risk. You are still our member anyway. You're only taking 20%. We'll catch up with you if you make a mistake. But we've been able now to make that efficient that we can actually pay it within the 2 days that we need it. The one that takes us long still is the survivor. Because survivor waits, there are so many dependencies before we can pay that we didn't have before. Now remember we said that if you have an engaged staff and they engage our customers and give them the tools to act and they become more efficient, they will actually make the customer more satisfied. So this is over the last 10 years. In around 2016, what we did is 2016, 2017, we changed the parameters because we found that we needed to be more strict in how we're doing it. So at that point, so we began measuring our customer satisfaction from a 78% level, because that was what it was. End of this year, we are 88%. But if you're to most of global companies and they're asking what the satisfaction rate is, most are very happy at 70%. But NSSF, we think 90 is really where we need to belong to, not 75%. Now, you guys are the ones who can tell us how well we are doing in that service as we continue. So how did we do on the growth? The target was 20 trillion shillings. And given all the things I had told you, in fact, that there was COVID, there was midterm, there was the hearings that were disruptive. How did we do as a fund? So this is kind of a bit of looking at last year, what informed it. Look at the contributions. It went up from 1.93 trillion to 2.13 trillion, 10% change. Benefits that we paid up went up from 1.12 trillion, 1.32 trillion. Revenues went up from 2.53 trillion to 3.13 trillion. And our asset under management, which I really want to say, went up from 22.13 to 26.01. We hit the 20 trillion mark in January 2024, 18 months ahead of schedule, in spite of what we had done through in that case. This just tells you how countries have been growing. More and more members are basically trusting us with their money. If you look at the contribution of our time, Smart Life is one that I really want to talk about. Smart Life, we just rolled it off last November. And you just see what happened. So in November, the balance was 270 million shillings. End of June, the number was 18 billion shillings. In the 2 months since June, the number is 26.90. And allow me to introduce somebody here, Shamina. Shamira? Where is Shamira? She here? I think I see. Yeah, she's here. Oh, thank you. Shamira is back there, an amazing lady. That lady works in Owino Market. She is a business person in Owino Market. We went to Owino and camped there for 2 weeks. Between March and now, 203 days have passed. She has made 256 deposits. Remember, the minimum is 5,000 shillings. We won't tell you what she has saved today, but goodness me, Shamir is a good example of what discipline and consistency means. It's not how much you save, it's how consistent, how disciplined you are to save. And she's been an amazing example of what all of us can learn from her. Then there's another one who is very interesting. I think Haji Lule. Haji Lule is there. Haji Lule, I will talk a little bit about Haji Lule. He was so when went to Owino, he was keeping track of, he was very disciplined. He said he was going to save for his children and his 2 wives. I think he has got 10 children or 9 children around there. So he would save 1,000 shillings every day for the child. Then he would save for himself 2,000, for the wife 2,000. So he came and opened up a sub-wallet. So he opened his own account. Then under his name, he opened a wallet for each child and for each wives. And he's been very faithful. That when the money comes at 5,000, he brings in. And he's not missed it. He's not missed a day regularly, weekly. He makes those deposits. And the point of it is, saving is not about how much you've made. Saving is how disciplined are you in that process. And as we get into this, if I tell you that in 10 months, the voluntary saving product in Uganda, in the NSSF, basically has grown to over 27 billion shillings. That's right, almost $9 million in 10 months from 33,000 members. It also defies me. Don't let someone tell you Ugandans don't save. No, we do. We're just saving in cows, goats, land, and everything else. We didn't find a way of saving monetarily. But these 2 members show us that you can do it, and with the time it grows. With the time it grows. That's the most amazing thing with the savings as we have. If you look at the benefits that we paid over the last time, look at what happened in 2021, 2022, where we paid about 642 billion shillings the year before. Midterm came, we paid 500 billion shillings more. And it has kind of stayed at that level. But this is money that is directly injected in the economy. So if our PSSD was here, we'll just pause a minute. The Minister of Finance is here. So let's welcome him. You're welcome, sir. Thank you, sir, for coming. So you can find that the benefit trends for the last few years have come, and this money directly goes to the economy. And I think the Honorable Minister of Finance now is here. I can talk about him. This 1.1 trillion that goes directly into the spending and helps sustain the economy as we use the monies here. And this from us, Ugandans getting that money back. Look at the money. This is basically, if you look at income that we generate over the years, sometimes it's a yo-yo. I remember that animal I mentioned, FX, it hit us in 2022 because the Uganda shilling strengthened so much against the Kenya shilling. And that revaluation brought us down, but we recovered. By 2024, by last year, we'd already recovered 3.5 trillion shillings that we raised. Okay, this is where, and I think if you notice a bit, so from interest, we earned 2.88 trillion shillings from all countries. Our real estate income increased to 16.6 billion shillings. Dividends that we got 238 billion shillings from 175 billion. The purchase of MTN was amazingly good for the fund. Airtel was good for the fund because from MTN alone, we got about 61 billion shillings in dividends. I think Airtel, we got around 38 billion shillings in dividends. So investing on behalf of Ugandans and holding these shares on behalf of Ugandans has actually been good for the country and for the member. Other income is where I need to just tell you a little bit where now the bad comes through. 651 billion reduced to 328. There are 2 things that happened. First of all, because all the stock exchanges went up, our portfolio of equities went up. The good news is accounting says, you do everything. If it goes up, value it where it has gone up. If it comes down, value it down. So we actually had 715 billion shillings in gain. This just because the market went up. I call those the headwinds, the tailwinds. The headwind was because of the currency fluctuation. Remember I told you that the Uganda shilling strengthened against the Uganda shillings. Therefore, we had a valuation loss of 274. But also, many of you know we had to write down Umeme. On our books, we had 117 billion. The concession had ended, and we need to write it down. So let me talk just slightly about Umeme so you can get the context of where this is coming from. Between the time we bought Umeme, we bought Umeme shares at different levels and so on. We had spent 153 billion shillings. Up until March last year, we had got back dividends right around 151 billion shillings. So basically, if you look at just for a payback period, we had got all our money we invested in. Then in June, we got a check, a dividend for 91 billion shillings again. So that put the net return on Umeme, just for evaluation, an NPV of 11 billion shillings, with a return closer to 21% as an investment in Umeme. Now, we needed to write this down because we had Umeme asset in our books. The accountants tell us, my friend, what should be in your books is your projection where it's going to go in the next future. And since Umeme's concession, remember they had their biggest contract was a concession with the government of Uganda. When the government of Uganda did not renew that, we had to reflect, we took the most conservative way to reflect it in our books. That's why the Auditor General is able to give us a clean health, because whatever could have done it, we've taken the hit in it in this book as to well. If the arbitration goes well and Umeme is paid more money, we'll get more money and then to reflect in this year's income number. So those were kind of the things that were hidden in the numbers that I need to share with you so you can understand that not everything is rosy. Some things we don't understand, but in totality, the fund has done very well. I know when I'm Prime Minister, you like this. One of the things that the minister, and he may even hear it today, says he's concerned about a number of things, safety, and then he says, will the fund be able to pay its members? This graph shows you a comparison between the assets of the fund, which is the dark blue line, and the liability of the fund, which is the light blue line. As of the end of June 2025, the assets of the fund total 26.0%. The liabilities against those, what we hold on your is about 25.5 trillion. The point is, NSSF is what's called a fully funded scheme. It can, if we close NSSF today, every member would get paid what their balance is and has accumulated over the years, whether it is what they put in, what the employer put in, what NSSF gave them as interest, would pay it all. In fact, let me even go back and say this. If you remember, we said that 80% of our assets are in fixed income. Fixed income can be liquidated quickly. So I would say most likely within 90 days, we'd be able to sell, we'd be able to do what? To settle 80% of the members. The real estate and the stocks may take us 1 year to do it, but the point is, it's a fully funded scheme that has no shortfall in terms of being able to pay its members. So have we kept our promise? Remember we told you that we begin with a number. I said, look at 10 years and find out whether we paid you above inflation. That green line is your 10-year average inflation over the last few years. That blue line shows you the interest we've declared. And you can just say, at any one point, we've given the member more than the inflation was there. We preserved value of the member. Now today, I can't disclose it because the power to announce that comes from the minister, so we'll have to be patient in terms of when we get it. So we continue to preserve the members' savings. If you look at the value we've created, any of you guys in finance, that blue line is what we call our total income, both realized and unrealized. That red line is our expenditures. Just by looking at that line, you know that, yes, the quantum of the costs have gone up, but relative to the income, we've kept the growth in costs minimal. For example, between 2022 and 2023, 24, and 2024, 25, our costs grew by 8 billion shillings. If you look at the income went up from 3.18 trillion to 3.5 trillion. That's a growth of around 400 billion shillings. In other words, our costs went up by 8 billion, but our income went up by 400 billion. And I think that's good use of money, if you think about it. The green line is what we have put on here. So we made the money, but we also recognize that money belongs to you. So we didn't eat the money. What did we do? The green line shows we put it back to you. And these numbers are in the financials, but the interest that we put on your account is that number. So when someone says, NSSF, you guys, you're eating our money, and so, no, we are not. We've put it back on you. You can't get it right away because of the law, but we actually worked for you and given it back in that case. So this is the value we created this year. There are only two values we give you as a member. We collect on your behalf, invest on your behalf, put back on your account. So if you look at the contribution this year was 2.1 trillion, interest members 2.7 trillion. The total cost, the cost to that was 230. It means for each shilling we used in costs, we generated for you 21 shillings in value. Let me put this in a way. All means I know you're a farmer. I assume I was your farm manager. So at the beginning of the year, you came and said, okay, Ayota, what's your budget? Okay, I'm giving you 230 billion. Here, go work for me. So I went and worked on his farm, work. At the end of the year, I bring to him 4.9 trillion shillings. Sir, you gave me 230 billion. I brought to you 4.9 trillion shillings. What do you think the other minister would do? What would he do for me? So, thank you. So that's what's meant by value created. By the way, last year we created, the value was 18.1. I was going to do a comparison with our neighbors across. They are just mesmerized that we can create that much value for the members. And to me, it gives me a source of pride that we can actually do that at a minimal cost as to was. In banking, there's what's called cost-income ratio. Cost-income ratio is you take all your costs divided by all your total income. How much of your costs generated income? The banking sector today, the average is around 53%. Some banks are closer to 80%. You have, I think, a few that are around 40%. If you look at all your expenses divided by your income. If we use that matrix, NSSF was 80%. Whereas the banking sector says, for each 100 shillings that we generate as income, we'll spend 53 in expenses. And it says, for each 100 shillings we generate, we'll spend 8 shillings in expenses. So you have really an amazing, efficient farm. It's actually efficient in terms of the way we do it, because if you compare us to other entities, there are schemes that are much larger than us that are hovering around 8%. But that's something that we've done wrong. I already talked about that. So by and large, we think we go there. So as we close this chapter, let me just take you a little forward. Now, Vision 2025 is in our rear mirror. I mean, we wallow, we brag, whatever. We need to focus now. Where are we going the next 10 years? We call it Vision 2035. Our purpose still remains the same. Make savings a way of life. Make lives better by making savings a way of life. That's our commitment to you the next 10 years, our purpose. We'll plead with you, we'll beg you, we'll chase employers after you because we want to make lives better by making savings. Our vision is still one social security provider of choice. Even if there's no other NSSF, when you go to bed, I want you to smile and just say, thank God I save with NSSF. And how will we know we are there? So we set up another ambition for us. By 2035, we need to get there. Now, this become ambitious. I'll start with the last one. 95% subscription rate for anybody, whether you are our staff, our customer. We want to push that number to 95%. The growth of 50 trillion by 2035. Everybody next to thinks, no, we are going to pass that line. We'll pass it. So we believe that number is not going to be a problem for us. The good news is, so I said, but Patrick, you guys kind of lowballed us. 50 trillion, how could you lowball us at 50 trillion? I said, no, it's okay. It never stops us. We had a target of 20 trillion. When we reached 20 trillion, we didn't stop and say, hey, our target was 20 trillion, so let's go. We continued. And in the process, we hit 26 trillion. 6 trillion shillings more than we had the target for 10. So having 50 trillion there, not a problem. We'll exceed that as soon as we get there. The animal is this 50% coverage. By 2035, we want at least 15 million Ugandans from the current 3.3 million Ugandans to have saved with the fund. And I'll tell you why that's audacious. Because, and why you must do it as a country. Last year I showed you some graphs. If you go into history and look at countries like Korea, South Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam now, China, Malaysia, Singapore, they became Asian tigers when their domestic long-term savings compared to GDP was around 25% or exceed 25%. That means they had domestic pool of capital to run their own development agendas. In Uganda, it's 12%, and most of it is with NSSF. So the point is, as a country, we really need to push hard to, if we are going to be self-sustaining, self-independent, we need to save. That's the future you leave for our children. The reason is, let's forget this thing that the Minister of Finance has to go out there. Oh, man, you guys, we need $100 million, and then we don't do it. But the government has become very interesting. The number of projects that the government has actually funded, also by funding, and then the development partners come. And that's where we need to get where. So to get there, we need to get as many more Ugandans to invest in savings. So on one hand, when you save, you're not only just working for yourself, but also creating an environment when the children grow, would have created for them a more self-sustaining environment in that case. So how shall we get there? Our promise still are 3. Safety is a serious value proposition. Sorry. The Minister of Gender has come in. You're welcome. Thank you, ma'am. So safety. By the way, this thing about safety is something we take. We laugh, we smile, but when we find somebody doing manyanga with us, we are ruthless. Whether it's a staff member or somebody doing a staff member. CEOs who are out there and you don't want to pay your members money because you think you can't be touched. This year, 3 times. We jailed 3 CEOs. Because they were playing with members' funds. And we continue to do that if you continue to play with members' savings. It is that serious. Safety of their funds are critical. Convenience will continue to innovate to make it as easy for you as you can to save, to interact with us, take your money out. Now the empowerment now, you guys, now you can save voluntarily for whatever you need. And you save 5,000 shillings a week. And you'll be amazed what that number shows like in 2 years or 3 years' time. Please, that's how we'll know we get there. Now, this is what we're going to do, which is slightly different from the last 10 years. The last 10 years, we're kind of being what I would call passive participants in the economy. As you know, the economy is not generating enough jobs. So if we want to grow, we better move away from our passiveness and begin to actually focus on what I call proactive intervention in this economy. So we are building on 2 things. We create the willingness to save, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's what, but we also now have to create the capacity to save. It's no good me coming and telling you, you need to save some money, but you're not making any money. Can I intervene so you make more money and you save with us? And I'll just talk about 2 where we're doing that. So we want to do this by just maximizing coverage, maximizing earnings, and maximizing value. So let me just talk about a couple ones. If we're going to create the willingness to save, we have to do some of these things, especially empowering enterprises. One, Honorable Minister, just want to thank you. We got the registration. Thank you, sir. On NAMCO. I really want to commend the President and the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Gender. Many people do not even understand what NAMCO is about. NAMCO is not about, it starts actually with us. Remember, we say I want that farmer. How do I get 15 million people? I can't neglect agriculture because it's the bulk of the population. But why will that farmer save with me? Only if I bring value to them. So at NAMCO, what we realized was this, that as a country for the last 20, 25 years, we've done something really good, but was half a solution. Think about NADS. NADS said, the farmer needs quality seeds, good. Needs post-harvest handling, good. Needs affordable housing, financing, good. Needs all these things that the farmer needs. And the government invested in these things. OWC came the same proposition. PDM came the same proposition. But guess what was happening? Even it happened just this month. Farmers are harvesting maize today, and they're asking where they're going to sell that maize, and we don't have an answer for them. And it has become very demotivating for farmers because the guy who should put fertilizers in his garden, his 1 acre, to get 2,000 kilograms of maize, says, who is going to buy this thing? So he doesn't bother. And its product is 400. We think through NAMCO will help bridge the gap between the farmer and the market. And in the process, when he makes a little more money, he will save with us. So let me give you the numbers. Let's say the core price of maize, and that's the real price because somebody quoted me a price yesterday. Let's say somebody is buying maize at 800 shillings a kilo, and the acre produced 500 kilograms. That means that farmer, 500 times 400 kilograms, 500 times 800 is basically 400,000. So the farmer is getting 400,000 shillings from his 1 acre. If he raises productivity and he knows there's a guaranteed market, and he produces 2,000 kilograms at 800, that's 1.6 million shillings. I just helped that farmer move from earning 800,000 to 1.6 million shillings in that very season. Now, if I tell him, my friend, just save 10% for your account, he's not going to kill me because, okay, I brought value to him. And we need to do this. Now, the only things I'm going to say, as we roll out this program, because we're going to be rolling it out the next few months, fellow Ugandans, at that point, we are beginning to play in the global market directly. And there are things that market requires. So I'm going to appeal to us Ugandans. There are things that market requires. It requires discipline, consistency, and integrity. So if I come and sign with the farmers, willing signer, please, we'll buy all the maize you can produce. This is the price. And you begin to produce, and you decide to sell. That doesn't work in the global market. Because you've broken one thing, trust. The market won't trust you anymore if you do that. And I think if we organize this thing, the small farmer, the one person with 1 acre and so on, and we aggregate it together, we'll go back to where we were one time. In cotton, we had half acre, quarter acre of cotton aggregated. Uganda was the number 2 producer of cotton in the world. One of the best cotton varieties in the world was there because there was a systematic way of aggregating it and sending it to the market. I'm really excited about this because I think if we do this well as a country, I can tell you we can triple Uganda's GDP in 5 years. I know, we have a 2040 target, tenfold. We can get there in 2035 if we do this, because agriculture is our backbone. I mean, 70% of our population is there. If you triple the earnings of 70% of your population, what does that do to the economy? It's massive. And you can do it without leaving anybody behind. So I really want to thank the Minister of Finance. I think this was really your support, your fight. The President, his support, the fight has been incredible in making this come through. So hopefully by this time next year, we'll report on what it has done and the impact it has had in this economy. The second one, of course, Remember, we have to bring value to you. The entrepreneurs out there, you have a business, you've been struggling, but it has potential. We are negotiating now with Mastercard Foundation, who were our co-funders in the first round. Last year, we basically, over the last 5 years, we basically funded 438 early startups, 438. Now, very interestingly now, the failure rates for business in Uganda is estimated to be at 90%. You start a business today, within 5 years, the thing is will die. 90% chance it will die. But if you do it differently, out of the 438, we've lost 12, which means our failure rate today is around 4%. Now, we want to do that and fund 1,000 startups by 2030. Last year from there, we created 38,000 jobs, or sustained 38,000. This was Mastercard Foundation numbers. We know because they became our members. From the High Innovator Program, basically we got about 2 billion shillings in savings. It is surprising, we did not expect that to happen that quickly. But 2 billion shillings in savings from people who never had a chance to do this. So we're going to expand it and make sure we unlock that potential within our entrepreneurial world. As you know, we are not leaving anywhere behind. Whether you're on a border, we have a product for you. Recently, we had a chance to meet with the border when the president met them in Kololo. We met them one time when they went to Gulu. So anybody can save with the fund. It's that easy. And as we go along and do that, many of you may not realize this, but there are about almost 2 million borders. Now, you guys look at those border guys and you think that, and I didn't even know this, that they're very disorganized. Each stage has a chairman, has got a secretary and a treasurer. There's a hierarchy in the way they organize themselves. Forget you seeing them running. They're very organized. We tap into those and we can help them save for themselves. And you know, once they become aggregated, then you can roll out the products to them, whether it is health insurance, whatever it is that needs to be done. And we can do that. You'll see us doing a lot of investments, not just looking at what traditionally we looked at. We're now really looking at infrastructure, looking at what we call the private equity world, so that we can actually build up on that. We hope to participate in the Kampala-Jinja Expressway. We're waiting for them. Oh, Honorable Minister, please, we are ready. We even gave letters. We are ready to do that, so that we can help this country grow. So I think that will be great for us as a country. Lastly, one of the things that I want to do for you is, and we're already there, guys, I'm not going to spend on the first thing in terms of the legacy. Remember, I gave an example. You have 100 million shillings, you take it out. And after 2 years, it is gone. You're earning 1 million shillings, but as soon as you have it in your pocket gets holes and flows out. So what we've done is, next smart life, there's something we call smart life fixed. We are coming. Instead of taking the 100 million shillings, let's manage it for you. If we earn 12%, that's 12 million shillings a year. So you can just live on that interest. For the rest of your life, you still have your principal, so that when God takes you, you can leave something for the wife, and they can continue to enjoy 1 million shillings. And you know you can just do this one, and suddenly your lifestyle is totally different because you're getting this regular income that you want to do that. We're doing that in preparation for the trust, that when we do that, one of the saddest things today when you look at, it is sad. One of the saddest things is when some of our billionaires, trillionaires pass on, and within a few months, a few weeks, you hear there is a serious family wrangle over the properties. And that can continue for the next 20 years unresolved. The family is suffering because they're suing each other, whatever it is. We think this is going to be a very easy way, that now when you, as a 60-year-old, 65-year-old, let's talk. Let's monetize those assets you have. So instead of leaving people with physical assets that they will fight over, we can manage it for you. And your whole family is taken care of. Your grandchildren are taken care of. Whatever legacies you want to support a church, you want to support a school, they are taken care of. Because one of the things we people in Uganda are very poor of, and let me use this example again. Please forgive me. How many of you graduated from Makerere University? Thank you. How many of you have given Makerere University 1 million shillings? I'm giving 1 million shillings to help you in your business. Like I thought. We don't do that very well. Harvard is not great because it was great 20 years ago. Listen, Harvard is not great because it was great 20 years ago. Harvard is great because even today, its alumni takes care of Harvard. Why is that important? You may think that when you left Makerere, I am done. But you left Makerere with a piece of paper called a degree certificate. What was the last ranking of Makerere? If you look at the last ranking, where are we? If even you go to a job now, they say, where did you come from? Makerere. They say, which Makerere? There's a time here in the 70s and so on, if you just showed up Makerere, no further questions. It represented what was there. But we've left Makerere and not even bothered to go back and support. Those people just eat money. Okay, be part of it so you fix it. Because the value of the certificate you hold today is not Makerere of old, it's Makerere of today. The value of your certificate tomorrow will be what Makerere is tomorrow. So what should your responsibility be in building this Makerere of tomorrow? And we do that, that's when the value of the paper we hold becomes meaningful. I'm passionate about that. There's a primary school in my village. I went to say, I need to do something for that primary school. Then the secondary school. I went to the Balai school, the real school. Okay, we'll argue about that one. But it's okay. But guys, you can now begin to think about your legacy. And you know what? Okay, out of this 100 million shillings, at least send $1 million shillings to Makerere, to my church, to whatever I need. And when we systematically do that, suddenly we revive all these institutions that are very instrumental in raising us, if we plan for it well. Finally, I think one of the things that we are looking at as a fund today is basically a stronger future. You're going to see us a lot. One of the things you may be interested in, we discovered something we didn't really, we stumble along, and we find that right now NSSF offers quite things that the rest of Africa wants to know. The rest of the world wants to know. So I say, why don't we tap into this thing called the conference tourism? So we experimented in July. We put up electronic document management system workshop. We tiptoed into it. Will people really come? Will they pay? So our budget was 50 people coming, paying $500 piece. We got 130. The foreigners paid $1,000. They stayed at Munyonyo, ate at Munyonyo, whatever it was, small amount, but that shows that the potential for us to support conference tourism is great. In November this year, 5th, 7th, we're going to hold an all pension fund in Uganda. All pension funds in Africa. We call it the All Africa Pension Summit. In fact, His Excellency the President is even hosting it. Just to showcase what NSF is trying to do in Uganda. Can the other NSFs in their own schemes be catalysts, local catalysts for the things they do? But as they come to learn here, as they come to learn from NSF, they learn about Uganda, they spend their money here. And we can contribute to that conference tourism in a way we think we should. So I think the future is bright. There's so much that we can do. The only thing is we have to do. Our problem as a country is we like to think and think and think and not do. And this is what has helped us. We think and do. Now sometimes, because you do, and so in the future, you may make a mistake. The question is, if you make a mistake, you pivot and you do. You pivot and you do. And that's how we've been able to do a lot of things going forward. So my appeal to you guys, gentlemen, ladies here, it's our country. My grandfather, who was one of the most wise men in this I've ever met, he was a reverend. I'm in P3. I'm number 1 in the class. So last day of school, they put me on a pedestal. He's there. I give my report card. English, 98. They also rate us per subject. English, 98, 1 out of 40. Went down the list. I made 90 in math, but 1 out of 40. So he looks at me and said, Patrick, why did you get 90 in math? I responded, sir, I was number 1. So he says, okay. But why did you get 90 in math? And I said, sir, I was number 1. And you could see his look. And like, it bothered me a lot. So when we went back home together, I said, Papa, what I was supposed to do? He said, and it was, I didn't even realize that. He said, pygmy is natural like 3 feet tall. So you can be 3 feet and 4 inches taller than the pygmy. Yes, you're the tallest, you're number 1, but you're still a pygmy. You're not tall. And his lesson was, so I said, did you do your best? Actually, I remember him, did you do your best? I said, Papa, I did my best. The paper was hard. Now I'm almost in tears. And he grabbed me and hugged me. Very an African way of doing things. But he hugged me. I said, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know that you had done your best. It's not about being number 1. It's not about you better than your friend. Because if you're both dwarfs, it doesn't mean you're now tall because you're better than the other dwarf. It is, can we work together and reach our potential? This land we have, can we get the potential of this land and bring it out for our own sake? God bless you all. Thank you. It's part of it. So for you guys, please stay engaged. Be your ambassadors. Tell people to save and support the things we do. Hold us to account. We're okay somebody writing something in. Sometimes it's out of ignorance, sometimes, but let's stay engaged. It's your fund, it's your money. And support that we do that. Thank you. Simon, over to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I think it deserves a louder hand clap. If for nothing else, for telling us that making lives better by making savings a part of life. And that's your promise to all of us as NSSF. Honorable ministers in your respective capacities, distinguished savers, indeed, as one minister is famously known to be quoted, colleagues, the money is about to be announced. And so, that the big people in the room are with us. Oh, the shoe has feet. Now that the big people in the room have arrived, let us do what is required of us from the angle of protocol. I'm going to invite a special group to sing with us the national anthem and the East African anthem. We're not going to do it the fake way. We're going to do the real way as NSSF does it. So real Ugandan voices of young people. So together, let's welcome Stream of Life Choir. Oh, by the way, and as they make their way here, I have a special piece of information to share with you. I am told from the graphs Mr. Yota was presenting, you saw the blue line and the red line, where red meant expenditure. All these pictures you're seeing on the walls and the images, these are not models, they are actual NSSF staff members. And by using their actual staff members, they saved the fund of spending 22 million Ugandan shillings to pay models. So the only people that are on this stage that are not NSSF employees are this choir, myself, the other guy, the event flow management consultant, and then my colleagues, the ministers. The rest of them are NSSF members. The anthems, please. And let's be upstanding, all of us.
Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy hands. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand. Uganda, the land of freedom, our love and labor we give. we shall always stand the pile of Africa's crown.
The East African anthem.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. Now we can take our seats as the choir exits the stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, quoting from the same source I quoted earlier, now that the anthems are done, the event can take off. Speaking after Mr. Ayota is a difficult one because he's a man of many stories. But before I invite the next speaker, maybe I also need to share with you a very short story. And mine is not from the remote village from where I come. No. Mine may be about my interaction with you. Not you, but NSSF. So here it is. One of these days, Honorable Minister, on a Good Friday, I clocked 45. I won't tell you exactly which year, but one of these Good Fridays in the last several years, I clocked 45. My intention had been the day I clock 45, I will walk into NSSF and try their system because they promise at 45 you get 20%. So I gave them a lot since Good Friday was a public holiday. I cut them slack on Saturday because it was Easter Saturday. Easter Sunday, I relaxed and kept making press-ups ready for the event of when I dropped there. Easter Monday, I checked just in case they were open. They were closed. On Tuesday, you should have seen me walking in there 8:30 a.m. with my national ID, birth certificate, marriage certificate, and a draft of my death certificate, just in case they ask for it. I wanted to be sure I have every documentation they're asking for. I had land titles, pictures of children, and everything you can imagine. And I went through the reception, and the questions were asked, and I answered all the questions. Forms were filled, sign here, sign there. Oh, which bank? I tell them the bank. They say, we need something from the bank. I said, hold my drink. The bank is just next door on Kampala Road, Housing Finance Bank. I was right in there. So by 9:45, all the questions had been asked, fingerprints taken, irises taken, pictures with my phone, everything. Now here is the more interesting part of it. I told them, you had from Good Friday until today to have sorted me out. You were lucky, it was a public holiday. I thought I was stretching the bar. Colleagues, by 5:45 p.m. of the same day, the money came. What you shouldn't ask me now is what, where, how, which, and why. What I can tell you for a fact, I had also promised myself the day I get that money, I would pick 10% of that 20% and eat it in live notes. And eat it, I did. Please, colleagues, when you get your money, eat 10% of it. Dr. David Ogong, it's my humble pleasure as the chairman of NSSF to be invited and come speak to our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. for the invitation. The Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, here present. The Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, here present. The Auditor General, members of Parliament, here present. Fellow current and former members of the board, NSSF board, the Managing Director, members of the management team, members of the media, but most importantly, members of the National Social Security Fund. Good morning. I think we are here largely because of members. We are here for all stakeholders, but at the center of it all is our members. So I welcome you all to the 13th annual members meeting of the National Social Security Fund. Permit me, before I proceed, to introduce members of the 13th board. Yes, you are aware, the fund, the government set up a structure for the governance and management of the fund. And the fund is managed by a tripartite board which consists of an independent chair, representation from government, representation from employers, and then representation from the workers, represented by the workers' unions. So I am Dr. David Ogong, chairman of the board, of the 13th board. You clap for me. Then we have representing government. By the way, some members are here in person, some members are following online due to their different commitments. We have on the board representing government the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury, Mr. Ramadan Gobi, is following online. I know he's following online. Clap for them if you. We have the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, David Agrek Chibenge. Representing the workers, we have them here present. We have Dr. Sam Liomoki. We have Ms. Anne Birunji, Annette. We have Ms. Penina Tukamesiga. We have Richard, where are you? Richard is following online. Then we have the employers representatives. We have Dr. Silva Mogisha. We also have Madam Anne Mulindwa, Anne Nakawunde Mulindwa. On the board also is an ex-official member, Mr. Patrick Ayota is right there, the managing director. Honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important meeting for us because we are tracking a journey. We are tracking a journey of a fund that started as a baby under the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. This fund started like a department 40 years ago under the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development because the government of Uganda realized the importance of social security in not just promoting socio-economic development, but in empowering its people. So the government set the laws in place, put structures of governance in place, and the board is one of the primary functions mandated with running the fund. If you are not aware, perhaps let me just remind you that the functions of the board include, amongst others, one, operating and managing the fund. Another function is to ensure that there is a secure, profitable, and efficient financial management of the fund. And the Auditor General has presented to us an opinion on the finances of the fund, which represents how we are doing. So permit me to thank, number one, God. I should have started with that, because in the Christian faith, the first lines in the Bible, it says, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, what? In the beginning, God. And at NSSF, we've invited God to be at the center of everything we do, both in the board and in management. Even if you follow in the Christian faith, I'm sure it's also in other faiths, you will find there is the parable of the talents, where we are told that a certain master came and trusted his servants with a responsibility, gave them something to manage. And then some of the servants managed it very well. When the master returned, they say, Master, I have done very, very well. This is what I've added on to what you've given me. While the others said, Master, I know you are a very, very shrewd person. The money you gave me, I have kept it very well. I hid it in the ground. Here it is. At NSSF, we are not like that. We actually create value for your fund. Honorable Ministers, allow me to share critical statistics cited by the True Value Assessment Report by KPMG in the year 2024. That report cites that the fund's contribution to Uganda's economy alone over the last 10 years amounts to over 143 trillion shillings, with over 2 million jobs created. Don't you think the fund is doing something good? We are doing something good, not just for the members, we're doing something good for the economy as well. That's why, Honorable Minister, the MD is telling you, we are ready. We are waiting for information on that Ginger Expressway. But every time I go to my village and I'm coming back into town, I see, for instance, the traffic coming from Bombo into Kampala is terrible. Honorable Minister, we can create an expressway there for you. Create something. Let's work together, do something, maybe infrastructure bonds or something. We can create a highway there. Sometimes Chengera here alone is a big problem coming into town. We want to get involved in some of these investments which create value for our customers, our members, but also contributing to socio-economic development. We can do many things in different areas. Ministry of Labor, Gender and Social Development, there are opportunities here in town. You can give us space and we create structures, multi-purpose structures that have competitive returns, but also providing a good value to you. These are things that we are ready to do, and we are willing to explore those. Honorable Minister, this year the fund marks a strategic transition from the Vision 2025 to 2035, which the MD has very ably elaborated, and I'm not going to go there. But permit me to say that the 13th board, a very diligent board, is very determined to ensure that we do whatever is possible to get that vision, but along the way, we are producing benefit to our members through and through. In this year, it has been reported that our assets under management has hit 26 trillion. We are halfway at that, on our journey to the 50 trillion, which is set in our Vision 35 target. So we're sure that we are going to get there. Our focus as the 13th board will be to realign the fund's investment strategy to pursue alternative investments while maintaining our existing prudent asset allocation in bonds, in equities, in real estate. We want to expand social security coverage to at least 50% of the workers. We are grateful to government that they've opened up opportunities for us now to get into the private sector, the informal sector, rather. The informal sector is a huge opportunity for us. We are so glad that now you can actually, by choice, come and save your money with a trusted fund, and you know that your money is safe, your money is secure. Anytime you want your money, you can access it. So people out there, be our agents of marketing and say, look, there's a trusted organization out there called the National Social Security Fund. Every day, go and open an account, put in money, and your money will be there. It will be secure. We are also fortunate that we are a self-regulating organization. And our board, the diligent board I talked about, together with the professional management team that was introduced to you here, we are doing our best to ensure that we stay within the limits of what has been given to us. And we will always ensure that we report good results. And I'm sure today the Minister of Finance is going to report an interest rate that will be appealing to you members. We continue to strengthen board and management to drive the execution of our Vision 2035. Lastly, honorable ministers and members, whilst we acknowledge the fund's contribution to the lives of members and the entire economy, we believe that the fund can continue to play a pivotal role in the development of our infrastructure. Honorable Minister of Finance, if the government issues infrastructure bonds, we are ready to jump on board. Maybe you will even tell us something about that today. The fund is poised to participate and therefore greatly impact the economic development of this country. Yes, we are happy to support you, give you budget support every year, but we want to participate more directly in some of these investments. Honorable Ministers, our board is committed to our outside role, going above and beyond by devoting all our time, all the time required to provide strategic direction to the fund that has enabled exceptional performance as reported in this year. I appreciate management for their diligence, for their good work. I appreciate you members out there for continuing to trust us and be our agents of marketing the fund. Join the voluntary schemes that have opened up. You employers who are out there, help us be compliant. This is our country. This is our people. These are your workers providing value to your organizations. Please, please comply. It is not something that we do because we want to punish you. No, it is for the good of our members. It is good for your company. It's good for the entire organization. Thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to invite the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Honorable Betty Amogi-Ongom, to come and give her remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, I request, with your indulgence, that you just hold on a little bit. I have some advice that it's always nice for you to come after we've set the stage right. And so, the stage is going to be set right, Honorable Minister. I know you're pressed on time by a small, short performance that I've been advised should come just before the Minister's presentation. And so, without further ado, let me invite those to make that performance to take onto the stage and do it as quickly as we can so that we allow the Honorable Ministers proceed and go for the other business that they are meant to go for. As the choir gets itself on the stage, the chairperson has made a very resounding clarion call to government. As the board chairperson, that's deep. But now for us, who are just mere servers, we were looking at the figures of Patrick. The board has 3-point-something million members, of whom only 850,000 are active members. It therefore means, Ugandans, that Uganda has a higher subscription on TikTok than they have in NSSF for a country of 40 million. Come on. Okay, let's get 10% of Ugandans on TikTok, which is 500,000, put them to NSSF, and then the chairman's words to the minister can make more sense by saying, create infrastructure bonds. Pardon my English, the choir, please.
yourself or to frown and curse your existence. There's no time better than this. While you're young and fresh, think about it. Usistafu katika mateso, katika dhiki na unyogovu. Mzee unakuja na changamoto, kutatua hilo la pesa sasa. NSSF is for you to tell. As you save, your money grows. So transparent, so reliable. Amani na watu kabatumya akadewe kaita ngumulimu alinokuwamuka abazi byako banyumya muyenga gati yatereka tegekera nnyo watobukadde kikwewala nnyo nawo okulinda olobona wakaddiye omulimu wawummula olema okumenyeka omugezi abamubulire naye NSSF kugambe yachaye maziko omugeza bamubulire naye tereka simbi obulamu bwe yakale mukadde abama smart life weri NSSF kugambe yachaye maziko.
So, what a better way to set the stage for the Honorable Minister to come forward and make her remarks after such a particularly composed song from Kennedy School for NSSF, about NSSF for all of us. Honorable Minister, now the stage is yours.
The Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Kasaija, the man with the money, the Auditor General, members of Parliament, the Chair and the Board of Directors, NSSF Management, members of the fund, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective capacities, it is my pleasure to preside over the 13th Annual Members Meeting of the National Social Security Fund. I take this opportunity to thank members attending both physically and online, and extend my appreciation to the board, management, and staff of the fund for the exceptional performance registered this financial year. Thank you so much. I also want to thank employers for the compliance and increasing remittances. Thank you so much, employers. I thank Ugandans for entrusting a government-supervised institution like NSSF with their life savings, and I think your trust is not misplaced, hearing the testimony from our MC today, how efficient and quickly he was able to get his 20%. So thank you. Those testimonies are very valuable to those who wake up every day to put their efforts to make sure the fund is performing. When I started supervising NSSF, I challenged the fund to expand its membership to include employers with less than 5 employees and focus equally on those in the informal sector. I did not only challenge them, but I also gave it an enabler, that is the NSSF Voluntary Contributions and Benefits Regulations of 2024, which I issued in November last year. These regulations were specifically designed to enable the fund to provide additional products targeting those uncovered segments. I am happy to note that the fund's flagship voluntary product, dubbed NSSF Smart Life Flexi, is being embraced by the informal sector as well as the formal sector, with Uganda shillings of over 29 billion contributions and over 39,000 people mobilized in just 10 months. I congratulate you. I commend the accelerated growth in the fund's membership from about 1.3 million in 2021 to 2.6 million as we speak today. I note the board's resilience in focusing on diversification of products, including in-country investments articulated by the MD in the agricultural sector through the marketing arm. I'm glad to hear the board chairperson reiterating these commitments. I cannot re-emphasize the importance of strong oversight and corporate governance being exercised by the board members. Our ambition is to increase more members, both formal and informal, reaching the borders, the market vendors, and all those in the informal sectors, and to undertake what enable them to save with NSSF. And for that reason, I'm glad that the board and management have requested me to review the NSSF regulation so that we can lower the amount of saving per day from the current minimum of 5,000 to at least 1,000. So that will allow even our market women to save. To the staff, I am proud of your firm focus on the future, always driven by the constant desire to innovate and excel. Your hard work has enabled us to increase membership, reach to MDAs, collaborate, increase compliance, keep the fund safe, and achieve results that has maintained the steady growth that we are proud of today. Thank you, the staff, for what you do every day. And remember, the government, the members, and the whole country are counting on you to improve the ratio of long-term savings to the national GDP. And I commend the MD for articulating the vision of increasing saving vis-a-vis the national GDP and achieving the 10-fold growth under the NDP4 of the government of Uganda. Finally, I congratulate the management and the board for the work done that will enable the Minister of Finance to announce probably one of the most exciting interest rates that you will hear. With that, I now take the pleasure of inviting the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Matia Kasaija, to address you and declare the interest for financial year 24-25. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, the Auditor General or his representative, members of Parliament who are here. Are we having members of Parliament? Show up. Very good. The NSSF Board Chairperson, members of NSSF Board and Management, members of media, members of fund present, and those who follow us online, and my little boys and girls who danced very well. I will invite you when I'm going away, and then we dance together. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by extending my appreciation to the board and the management for steering the fund in the financial year 24-25. I thank the Auditor General for independently auditing and reporting on the financial accounts of the fund. I was glad to hear that once again, the fund has obtained an unqualified opinion. Congratulations. This means that the fund's financial accounts are accurate, fair, and presented according to generally accepted accounting principles. In other words, the fund's financial accounts are clean, and I congratulate the fund. My major interest in whether the fund is financially stable, profitable, and can meet its members' obligations. Having read the fund's financial report, I would like to give the assurance that the fund has a healthy balance sheet. When someone does something good, you must cheer him or her. Having read the fund's financial report, I would like to give the assurance that the fund has a healthy balance sheet. The fund's asset under management increased by 17.5 Uganda shillings. Let me repeat. The fund's assets under management increased by 17.5% from Uganda shillings 22.3 trillion over the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 26 trillion in the financial 24-25. Total revenue increased by 11% from shillings 3.2 trillion in the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 3.52, and I think Uganda billion 382 in the financial year 24-25. Members' contributions increased by 10.4% from Uganda shillings 1.93 trillion in the financial year 23-24 to Uganda shillings 2.13 trillion in financial year 24-25. I am also interested in whether the fund pays members benefits when they are due. The fund has done very well on this metric, increasing benefits paid from Uganda shillings 1.12 trillion in the financial 23-24 to Uganda shillings 1.32 trillion in the financial year 24-25. Finally, every year, I give the fund a challenge to grow and add value to its members' savings, to enable me to declare competitive interest rate. If I may take you back 5 years ago, 1, for financial 22-21, I declared 12.5%. Financial 21-22, I declared 9.65%. Financial 22-23, I declared 10%. And last year, I declared 11.5% for the financial 23-24. This year, I am glad to report that the fund has once again risen in the challenge. And I will not tell you immediately now. I would like NSSF members to note the following. 1, the interest rate I have announced, I repeat, the interest rate I shall announce at Uganda shillings 2.7 trillion compared to 2.0 trillion in the previous financial year. In monetary terms, this will be the largest amount credited to members' accounts in the fund's history. When someone does something good, you cheer him or her. It is above the 10-year average rate of inflation, currently at 4.2%, and the 24-25 inflation, which stood at 3.8% as at the end of June 2025. The secret has been now revealed. Let me conclude. I don't need to try. You have seen it, haven't you? Do I have to speak for it? Finished. That's gone. I congratulate all savers, the NSSF board, the management upon this milestone. Continue. Don't rest, mister. Life doesn't stop just like that. So this is now a test. The country has tested you and your staff. Next year, it must be better. You hear? Me, I wanted to go progressively. Not going down. I would like to sit down now. I repeat, I congratulate all savers, the NSSF board, and the management upon this milestone. The MD has challenged me. He says, government bonds, we can take them on. And I can assure you, tomorrow I will be tomorrow I will be knocking on your door to deal with them, so that I don't start borrowing money from all sorts of places, particularly those people outside there who think we are fools. We are not fools. We are very, very clever people. I wish you fruitful deliberations, and I want the fund to grow from where it is now, progressively, until Jesus comes back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We request that you stay right there. That number 13.5 has never looked so good until a point where we've got to take a picture with it. And when something looks so nice, you take a selfie with it. So may I request distinguished board members to join the Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to take a selfie with that beautiful number, 13.5%. So, Honorable Minister of Gender, you're also required to join this group picture. Please, you'll forgive me, I invited her last. Her and I have a relationship that I could have even rightly said Honorable Mother-in-law, but I tried to keep it official because I did not know what rate we are going to have. Now that it's double digit, I may as well reveal that secret. So, Honorable Mother-in-law, please join the board of NSSF and the distinguished members to take this group picture. Honorable Minister, I don't know how you're going to do it, but what's for sure is you may wish to stand in front of the podium so that it shows how you color matched your suit and the Honorable Minister of Gender. The brown really looks good. I am sure you were briefed. And as they smile so well, the members of the NSSF top management, you are also requested to join in. So no one leaves the stage, but the top management of NSSF joins the stage. And please hurry, because part of the role you're going to play is to be backup dancers with the Minister of Finance when the choir comes, because he requested to have a special dance with the young children. So ladies and gentlemen, countrymen and women, members of NSSF, and even those who have an interest, the interest rate for financial year 2024-2025, 13.5%. What a time to be alive. Those of us who have already taken our 20% are going to go smiling to the bank. But I'm sure those who are going to get their 20% after this rate are going to go laughing into the bank. So they will move. And so, now that we've smiled and looked so nice, the choir, please come and join the minister and everyone on stage for a good dance so that then we can give him a soundtrack to exit, because he's headed all the way to Entebbe to attend cabinet. An honorable minister, is this the part where you also remove your coat and tie it around the waist? Because the dancing is going to be a little ferocious. And we have seen you have a good performance on that. Ugandans watching this online are sending me messages and saying, Honorable Kasaija is loading another meme. But you are excused, Honorable. With 13.5, you can do anything as you wish.
Time will come for you to be home. Are you planning for your tomorrow? In your home all by yourself, will you smile about your decisions? Choose to save for your own self, or to frown and curse your existence. There's no time better than this. While you're young and fresh, think about it. Usistafu katika mateso, katika dhiki na unyogovu. Mzee unakuja na changamoto, kutatua hilo la pesa sasa. NSSF is for you to tell. Wedia kuweza kwe. As you save, your money grows. So transparent, so reliable.
So we can dance our way out of the hall with the minister, because it's about time he goes for cabinet. Oh, and he removed the jacket. Oh my goodness. Did you see that? Wow. I knew this would end up like a worldwide wrestling event. Let's create way for the minister to dance at the front. I think we want to watch him dance at the front. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister Mataya Kasaija, thank you very much for putting up such a great performance. So if Honorable Kasaija could dance like this for just 13.5%, what will he do next year when he comes to announce 17%? He will break a limb. So with that performance, I think let's give way to the minister to exit, but the performance of our choir should not stop. Yes, so proceed. We now know our percentage interest rate. Sing for us as we make plans on what to use it for. But our program for the day continues. We certainly are going to have other presentations, including an interactive session with members of top management of NSSF shortly after this. And those who are watching this event live on whatever TV station you prefer to catch your events on, those watching us online, and those participating in the interactive conversation online. We thank you and we implore you to stay with us. We're still at it and still presenting. Streams of Life Choir. Thank you very much, Streams of Life Choir. I think you have really done us a good one. For 13.5% and this performance, getting the minister to dance, take off his jacket and wrap it around his waist. Oh, what a performance. We'll pick the news and share it with you of what happens when he arrives in cabinet. What's for sure, he's going to arrive sweating and excited. And I think that's what we want from a Minister of Finance. Now that said, folks, we have seen the numbers. We have seen the pictures. How about we get to interact a little deeper? So without further ado, Mr. Yota, I'm going to invite you and assign you a humble role. Please come and join me here. Thank you. You know your people better than myself, and you know in what order you want them to join you here. You also know the endearing words that you normally use to invite them to answer difficult questions when that time comes. I didn't want to do that because I haven't yet made my last claim. So I will leave it to you since you are their boss. Invite them, and then we will begin our panel discussion.
Okay, Mr. Jere Kasato, Deputy Managing Director.
We give them a hand clap as they arrive on the podium.
Mr. Ken Owera, Acting CIO. Mr. Sajabi, with the Mr. HR regarding people. Ms. Isaac on legal matters. Ms. Barbara Arimi with marketing. Oh, Ms. CFO, these are your numbers. Please, Stevens, come and join us. So we'll just have, let me see. Yeah, we're good. So what you have is basically investments represented. Kasat can handle anything you throw at him. People, all your benefit, contribution, membership is here. And yes, you're there. Let me also invite Penina, please come. Now, on those areas of informal sector, I think the questions come, you'll have the most answers. So you've got it? Please. Okay, you guys sit. That's fine. Let her come. I think we are good to go.
You are fully constituted, Mr. Yota?
Yes, sir.
Very well.
So me, I'll stand on the side. So whenever a question comes, I can tell you who direct you to.
Mr. Yota, you want to stand on the side?
Hey.
All the questions may end up going on the side. How about you join your team?
When it comes, I can just divert the question.
As you so wish.
But
for now, for them to take a breather, let me request them to all take their seats.
Okay, please, have a seat.
And if there is any remaining seat, I will consume it. None, okay, you knew. So, Mr. Yota, you will allow me at this point in time to invite Mr. Stevens Mwanje to step forward and first, as an icebreaker, unveil our ESG report. Mr. Mwanje.
Mr. Mwanje, many of you may not know, but we have actually two reports each year. One is, of course, the financial audit that gives us the interest rate. The other one is what we call the sustainability report. Beyond just the numbers, what else does the fund do? And it's fascinating reading, so please take the time to read that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you, members, colleagues, board members. I'm not very good at protocol, but I'm sure everybody is recognized. Today, we are launching two reports, our annual report, annual integrated report, and the ESG report. The annual report has all the numbers that you've heard the Auditor General speak about and the chairman of the board and then Patrick speak about. It has all the numbers, everything to do with how we've performed financially. But we have the ESG report, which now points out what we do as NSSF as good corporate citizens. Every other little thing that we do that we have not specifically quantified into the financials, you are going to see there. And it will culminate in that number that we were talking about, what our KPG consultants told us, how NSSF is contributing to the economy of this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, these reports, as I speak now, are online. Please enjoy. Thank you very much.
As the fund celebrates 40 years, the reports are a tribute to powering growth and empowering generations. They honor 4 decades of delivering financial security and national development while reaffirming our plans for the future. The reports elaborate the fund's role in shaping Uganda's socio-economic transformation. From humble beginnings, NSSF has become the largest social security fund in East Africa, currently managing assets exceeding UGX 26 trillion. The fund's transformation has been driven by dedicated leadership, passionate employees, and a solid institutional framework. with business sustainability as an integral part of how we work. This year's theme for both the integrated and ESG reports is 40 years of building